Good afternoon, and welcome to the February 2026 regular meeting of the Calgary Police Commission. I call this meeting to order and ask that everyone ensure your microphones are muted until you need to speak. My name is Amtul Siddiqui, and I'm chair of the commission. I'm joined today by Commissioners Kelly Ogle, Susan Mallon, Cherie Nyson-Jordan, Sam Hope, Ayo Adidaran, Aaron Noga, Marcia Hansen, Joseph Fernandez, Councillor Jennifer Wyness, and Councillor Dan McLean. Today's Calgary service representatives are led by Chief Katie McClellan. On her behalf, Executive Officer Jessica, would you please introduce those who are expected to speak during today's meeting?
Thanks very much, Chair, and good afternoon, everyone. Joining us today in the room, as mentioned previously, we have Chief Constable Katie McClellan, Deputy Chief Asif Rashid, Deputy Chief Cliff O'Brien, Deputy Chief Corey Daly, Chief Strategy Officer and General Counsel Catherine Murphy, Chief People Officer Kim Armstrong, myself as the Executive Officer. Joining us online is Executive Director Michael Nunn, Director Sandra Jacoby, Business Strategist Jody Jimenez, Senior Financial Officer Sabina Lokank. Online would be Business Strategist Selena Clausen. Also online, Chief Engineer Scott Conlon, Executive Director James Allen, Director Oscar Martinez, Executive Director Melanie Onsescu, Director Phil Hegger, Executive Director Brent Dyer, Director Sarah Demko. Joining online will be Superintendent Nadine Wagner, Executive Director Kathleen Fraser, Inspector Rob Davidson, Media Strategist Jay Hearn, Business Strategist Amory Hamilton Henry, Business Strategist Amanda Davis, here in person, Superintendent Darren Berglund, Acting Inspector Steve Dowler, online is Business Strategist Carrie Rack, and last but certainly not least is our Executive Resource Officer, Staff Sergeant Roland Stewart.
Thank you all for being here today. For those not familiar with our role, our commission is a body of 10 community members, 2 councillors appointed by City Council, and 3 members appointed by the Government of Alberta. We provide independent governance and oversight of the Calgary Police Service on behalf of all Calgarians. To protect the political neutrality of the police, Alberta's Police Act requires that the police chief report directly to us instead of elected officials. We provide direction to the police through the chief. We set policing priorities and plans. We ensure the service is properly resourced, and we oversee Calgary's policing budget. Today is one of 8 regular meetings we have each year to openly discuss police governance and oversight matters with the service's executive leadership team and to hear from the public. We also have private weekly commission meetings where commissioners work more directly with the service on various matters that cannot be discussed publicly. Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge that today our commission is meeting on the ancestral and traditional territory of the Blackfoot Confederacy, made up of the Siksika, Kainai, and Piikani nations. It's also home to the Tsuut'ina First Nation and the Ahe Nakota people of the Bearspaw, Chiniki, and Goodstoney First Nations. These are the people who made a treaty with the Crown, forming Treaty 7 territory. Calgary is also homeland to the Otipemisiwak Métis government of the Métis Nation within Alberta. Our commission is committed to doing our part to support reconciliation with all Indigenous people. We condemn racism and prejudice in all forms and is committed to being anti-racist. As we start our meeting, allow me to provide a brief overview of the format for those joining us for the first time. The public session of this meeting is being live streamed, and a recording will be posted online for those unable to attend. There will be several presentations from the Calgary Police Service, commission members, and commission staff. Commissioners will have the chance to ask questions or make comments after each one. Once we have completed the presentations, we will move to the public participation portion of the meeting. Those who have registered to speak will be called upon by name to either ask their question or present on a topic for our consideration. Please note that we do not take live questions during the meeting. Anyone interested in speaking, presenting, asking a question, or submitting written comments for our consideration must do so ahead of time. If you missed this month's deadline, we'd love to hear from you at our next public meeting. You can visit our website at calgarypolicecommission.ca for more information. Following public participation, we will close the public portion of today's meeting with the chief and I taking questions from the media. Everyone is welcome to observe the media availability, but only media professionals will be permitted to participate. To start our meeting, I will ask for the agenda to be approved. Does any member of the commission wish to request an amendment to the agenda? Hearing no requests, can I please get a motion to approve the agenda? Commissioner Ogle and Commissioner Mallon All those in favor, please raise your hand. Thank you. I will now call for declarations of pecuniary interest or conflict of interest from the commissioners. Hearing no declarations, I will now ask for approval of the consent agenda. For those viewing today's meeting, the consent agenda is a list of routine items and reports that all commissioners agree can be accepted without more discussion or a separate vote. Does any member of the commission wish to request an item on the consent agenda to be brought forward? Hearing none, I declare the consent agenda approved. To open my chair's report, I want to begin by recognizing the many celebrations and observances that highlight the diversity, resilience, and shared values of our community. This month, also known as Black History Month, reminds us of the brilliance and contributions of Black Calgarians whose leadership continues to shape our city's culture, safety, and public service. In February, we also observed World Interfaith Harmony Week, Anti-Bullying Day, World Day of Social Justice, the International Day of Women and Girls in Science, and Safer Internet Day. Happy New Year to everyone celebrating the Lunar New Year and welcoming the Year of the Fire Horse. The Fire Horse's spirit of energy and forward momentum feels fitting for a city that works and grows with purpose, and we offer a special nod to our Calgary Police Service Mounted Patrol Team, whose horses help build trust at community events while providing unique capabilities in patrol, searches, and crowd management. We celebrated Family Day, which provided time to reconnect with loved ones while recognizing that first responders and civilian staff who work through the long weekend to keep our city safe. Now, I want to point out that today is Pink Shirt Day, and a number of us are wearing pink to show our commitment against bullying. Today is about showing our support for kindness, inclusion, and respect. As we look ahead, we also prepare to welcome Ramadan, a month of reflection, compassion, and community. To all those who will be observing, we wish you a peaceful and meaningful start to this holy month. Now this month, our commissioners also attended CPS's town hall on extortion targeting South Asian families and businesses. We also attended a pipe ceremony put on the service, which created a beautiful space for reflection and relationship building. Commissioner Hope organized a tour for us at the Calgary Remand Center, so that we could understand the remand process from first appearance in bail to pretrial detention, helped us better understand the pathways through the justice system and how policing intersects with courts and corrections. The Commission held an all-day strategic session to refine our priorities for the coming year. We took part in a section on the future of international relations and a shifting geopolitical landscape, and joined the CPS for the 2025 Commissioners' Cup and Roy Galloway Memorial Award, celebrating camaraderie, service, and excellence across the organization. We also had the privilege of taking part in the second annual First Nations Police Governance Conference, co-hosted by the First Nations Police Governance Council and the Canadian Association of Police Governance. It was an inspiring 2 days and a powerful reminder of how much leadership and dedication exists across our communities. Special thanks to Deputy Chief Daly for presenting at that conference. Speaking of leadership, I'd like to remind you that we are still accepting nominations for our 2 Lifetime Achievement Awards, the Lifetime Achievement in Community Policing and the Lifetime of Distinguished Service. Those nominations will be accepted until March 9th. Help us shine a spotlight on people who've made exceptional contribution to policing in our community. Visit our website to nominate someone. Now, on a more sobering note, today's meeting, you'll hear some alarming stats on the pedestrian and motorist fatalities that our city is experiencing. Last month alone, CPS issued almost 700 speeding tickets on Stony Trail and almost 150 on Deerfoot Trail. My plea to you is simple. Please slow down and put your phones away. That call, that text, that post, it can wait. I promise you. The fragility of life is never far, and with that in mind, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge the profound loss that was experienced in Tumbler Ridge, BC. Our hearts are with the families who lost loved ones and with the entire community. We honor the courage and care of the RCMP officers, paramedics, emergency dispatchers, firefighters, medical teams, school staff, and community members who responded. We stand with you in grief and in resolve. With that, I close my chair's report. Can I please get a motion to accept this report for information? Commissioner Noga and Commissioner Fernandez, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Thank you. We will now move on to the presentations from the Calgary Police Service, beginning with comments from Chief Katie McClellan. Over to you, Chief.
Thanks very much, Chair. Thank you for those kind comments and remarks. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for the opportunity to provide an update on the last month of service. It has been an exceptionally busy and challenging period for our service, for our members, and for the community that we proudly serve. Over the past several weeks, our officers have responded to a high number of suicide-related calls, including far too many involving our youth. This is not just a Calgary trend. Across Alberta and Canada, the data tells a troubling story. Suicide remains the second leading cause of death amongst people aged 15 to 34 in Canada. And in Alberta, the risk is even more pronounced for certain groups. Last year alone, our service responded to more than 4,200 suicide-related calls for service, an average of over 350 calls per month. Among these distress and incidents, nearly 500 involved individuals in crisis were also armed with a weapon. In every one of those moments, our members worked tirelessly to de-escalate the situation, striving for the safest and most peaceful outcome possible. Yet, despite their skill, compassion, and commitment, not every call ended the way we had hoped. These experiences remind us not only of the profound pressures facing our community, but also of the tremendous responsibility carried by the officers who respond to people in their darkest moments. These are staggering figures, and they reflect the emotional pain and social pressures many young people are facing today. These calls are heartbreaking for families, for entire communities, and for our officers. Frontline members see the impact up close, the trauma, the grief, and the long-standing ripple effects. The emotional weight of responding to anyone in crisis is heavy, and it stays with our people long after the call is over. In fact, this past Friday, I was out on patrol where we attended an overdose death of a young 22-year-old man. Again, the emotional impact to so many is overwhelming. At the same time, our community and our members are facing escalating dangers on our roadways, as you heard from the chair. Every night, officers are engaging in vehicle-based tactics to stop unsafe and dangerous drivers who show little regard for public safety. We are deploying tire deflation devices more frequently than ever, which speaks to both the effectiveness of our tactics and the level of recklessness we continue to see. These interventions prevent harm, but this recklessness carries significant risk for officers and the public. We have also experienced several tragic traffic accidents over the past month, as you also heard from the chair, including the death of a small child who was struck while out with their family. These events are devastating. They leave families shattered, communities grieving, and first responders carrying the weight of what they have witnessed. It reinforces why our commitment to traffic safety through enforcement, education, and prevention must remain steadfast. We continue to work with our partners at the City of Calgary to implement the Safer Mobility Plan with the common goal of Vision Zero, mobility free of fatalities and major injuries. This includes our Drive to Zero media campaign, which many of you have seen, likely on TV or online, or heard on the radio. We are also dedicated to traffic safety education and reaching the community through public presentations, school visits, and a robust social media campaign. And we know our partners at the city continue to look at street safety initiatives like curb extensions, speed cushions, and increased pedestrian signage, all in an effort to reduce collision on our streets. We are all trying to play our part, and we need the public to do theirs. In 2025, we issued nearly 20,000 speeding tickets, but we also attended more than 3,200 injury collisions and another 558 involving pedestrians. Something needs to change. Something needs to give. We cannot continue on this path. People need to focus when they're on our roadways. As you heard the chair say, we also implore drivers and pedestrians to have one goal in mind when they get behind a wheel or are out on the roads. Focus on getting to your destination safely. Please pay attention to what is going on around you. This past month, I had the opportunity to meet with chiefs from some of the largest cities in Canada and the United States. What was clear is that the types and volumes of crime we are seeing in Calgary are not unique. Major cities across North America are navigating similar challenges. But what sets Calgary apart is our mindset. We do not accept disorder as inevitable, and we do not walk past problems hoping someone else will take care of them. Our officers, our partners, and our community step up, and we address the issues head on. A key example of this continued commitment is Operation Order 2.0. As I've said many times, this is not a short-term initiative. This is sustained, coordinated daily work across the service, addressing disorder, targeting prolific offenders, connecting unhoused to the appropriate resources, and restoring confidence in public spaces. That work continues every single day and does remain a priority for us. I also want to highlight the extensive work underway to confront the extortions affecting members of our South Asian community, and we'll hear more about that tonight. These crimes are deeply disturbing and have caused fear and angst amongst family and business owners. We are working closely with law enforcement partners across the country because this is not just a Calgary problem. It is a national issue requiring a national response. You will have seen a joint statement issued last week between myself, the Edmonton Police Service, and the RCMP. We are committed to working collaboratively to strategically investigate, suppress, and disrupt these extortion attempts. Our message to those targeted is clear. You are not alone, and we will not stop until those responsible are held accountable. For those committing these offences, this service and our community does not and will not put up with this behaviour. This kind of violence has no place in our city. We will be making arrests in connection with these cases. In all of these areas, from youth mental health crises to road safety to organised crime activity, our members continue to give everything they have. The resilience and unwavering commitment to the city makes me and our team incredibly proud. Thank you, and I will turn it over to Deputy Chief Cliff O'Brien.
Thanks, Chief, and thanks, Commission members. You'll see in the report from our Bureau that we outline some of the great work that's gone on in January from investigative files, in particular where we've had drug seizures, weapon seizures, and taken some dangerous offenders into custody. But there's two things I would just like to highlight from that report. The first one is last month for the service, our traffic safety focus citywide was on intersection safety. And so you'll see in there the summonses that we issued almost 1,200 summonses specific to traffic, to intersection safety. You'll also know, you also note in there that back in 2022, we worked with Calgary Municipal Land Corporation and Alpha House to set up the East Village Safety Hub. And as we continue to look at how we keep officers out in the field, especially when they have administrative tasks, we worked with CMLC again and Deputy Daly's shop to construct a property room within the Safety Hub so that no longer do officers have to go to the property room in order to put in things like drugs and weapons and not. I also want to just touch on a few other investigations that are ongoing and are impacting our community. And the first one that you've likely heard about in the news is we're investigating a series of coordinated high-value residential break-in enters that have occurred citywide, but primarily in the Northwest and Southwest here in Calgary. We know that these are sophisticated crimes where the offenders carefully select homes, which often back onto green spaces, ravines, or parks. They break in while the homes appear unoccupied and target high-value items, including jewelry, watches, designer clothes, purses, and cash. There's been over 100 of these crimes, and the cost to the victims is incredible. The financial cost itself is in the millions. These investigations are complex and time sensitive. They require dedicated investigators, civilian analytical support, coordination with other agencies, and often surveillance. I also want to, we're also recently investigating a series of commercial break-ins and cash register thefts that have been occurring since the end of January. We had about 20 of these incidents where offenders removed cash registers from open businesses during late night or overnight hours, creating a dangerous and obviously a scary situation for the employees. In some cases, the businesses were broken into overnight and the cash registers were gone. The good part about this particular case is last week our members identified and arrested 2 individuals in connection with those thefts and one other individual for a bunch of breaches who was hanging around with bad people. The third series is that I want to talk to you about is gym locker thefts. Our members are investigating a bunch of gym locker thefts where the offenders enter the gyms with out-of-province memberships or drop-in waivers. They target lockers that are secure, and they gain access without causing any visible damage to the lock, stealing credit cards and debit cards. Often the victims don't know right away. We have about 20 of these confirmed cases, but as we're doing the follow-ups with the facilities, we realize there are additional victims who have not yet filed reports. So I wanted to touch really on these particular files because, when you think about a commercial break and enter or gym locker, credit card thefts, it may seem like a smaller investigations when compared to some of the larger scale files that you hear about or Operation Ripple. But these also have very real impacts on the victims and the perception of safety within our community. And what is probably less visible to the public is just how resource intensive these particular investigations are. Each file has multiple victims, multiple locations. There's extensive CCTV collection and review of that. There's follow-up with businesses, of financial institutions, warrants and whatnot, in coordination with our partners. Many of these series are initially assigned to a single investigator, often a patrol officer initially, and I know that they would benefit from a small team of dedicated analytical support, surveillance, and whatnot. So one of the things that we have to do with the resources we have is we have to constantly assess and reassess our priorities and create sometimes ad hoc teams or task force, if you will, in order to tackle these crimes. But despite that, I just want our community to know that we do take these crimes seriously and are doing everything we can. And we do appreciate the support from the community to help us advance our investigations. Sometimes we get asked from the community, what can you do? Well, for us, high quality CCTV and sharing it with the investigators is one of the most powerful tools we have in solving these crimes. I also want our community to know that how important it is reporting these types of incidents are, even when the incident seems small. When people report it, it provides us with data that allows us and our civilian analysts to identify trends and link files, and it helps us allocate our resources appropriately. And of course, that includes reporting suspicious vehicles, suspicious activities, suspicious people. Even these small incidents that may not seem worth reporting, you never know, they may very well be a vital piece of a larger investigation. I know you know this, but we have such dedicated police professionals, non-sworn and sworn members that are working hard, many of them behind the scenes and most with very little fanfare, but we're proud of them and we're proud of the work we do. Thanks.
Thanks, Deputy Chief Steve Rashid.
Thank you, Chief. Good afternoon, Commission Chair. You have the report before you. However, I'll provide some highlights on the trending and topical items that the Bureau of Investigative Support is working on, beginning with an update on the South Asian extortion matter. So we continue to take the extortion events affecting the South Asian community here in Calgary very, very seriously, as the Chief has said. Since the beginning of 2025, we've now had 30 reported extortions tied to the series in Calgary, including 14 shootings targeting homes, businesses, or vehicles. And for those of you who've been tracking those statistics diligently, you'll notice that we've seen a significant uptick since the beginning of 2026. Thankfully, despite all of the violence on our streets, there have been no reported injuries from this series in Calgary to date. 2 weeks ago, the CPS attended a meeting in Surrey, BC, where police leaders across the country and investigators got together to discuss a national strategy on extortions. This was an operational meeting, and as such, I'm not able to provide the granular details. However, I can say that it was a constructive meeting. It manifested itself in the messaging that came out from the chiefs and leaders of police organizations in this province, and we were able to share investigative strategies, intelligence sharing practices, and ensuring that our resources are properly aligned to deal with this matter. Together with the Edmonton Police Service, the RCMP, and Alert here regionally, we are meeting regularly, daily now, as a matter of fact, to ensure that across our province we are aligned and that we are tackling this as a united team. Alert continues to be the investigative lead on these files, including resources from major police agencies in Alberta, as well as federal agencies such as the CBSA, FinTrack, and the Canada Revenue Agency as well. Also, since our last meeting, and as mentioned by Chair Siddiqui, we hosted a second town hall at the Dashmesh Cultural Centre in Northeast Calgary, which was attended by dozens of members of that community. During that session, members of the Diversity Resources team and Deputy Daly's team, the Alert investigators, our crime prevention team, and Crime Stoppers came together to speak directly with community members and understand firsthand the impact that this is having on the community. We thank the commission members and the chair for attending that meeting and serving as ambassadors for the work that CPS is doing. We know, as the chief said, that this is especially concerning as a crime trend and as a violent series in our city, and that we are committed to providing as many resources as we can to deal with this matter. We will continue to communicate with the public and our commission, of course, transparency, and be accountable to you as our police service. We want to ensure that the community know that we are using every available resource locally, regionally, and nationally in some cases to identify offenders and keep Calgarians safe. And we will not, as the chief says, allow these fear-based tactics to intimidate our community, and will be relentless until we're able to deal with the scourge that's affecting our community. Additionally, in relation to the Human Trafficking Day, which was recognized this past weekend, it's an important reminder in the work that we do as a community about the vulnerabilities faced by individuals who are exploited. Through our work in our alert teams as well, we are committed to combating human trafficking year-round and continue to work with our community partners, including the Not in My City team, to support victims, to raise awareness and strengthen prevention. Last year, as you'll recall, we released the Not in My City e-learning to all of our members as a refresher on human trafficking activities that occur locally. And if you've not had the chance as commission members, I encourage everyone to take a moment to complete this training, which is informative, insightful, and enriching. And I'd like to say a special nod to Superintendent Matthew Baker, who worked with Not in My City just last week, and some of you may have heard, and he released a podcast talking about the virtues of this training model, which the CPS has adopted. Finally, just in the interest of time, I'd like to speak about our cyber strategy, which is very connected intimately to the extortion series that we've seen. The cyber threat landscape continues to evolve. We're continuing to engage partners in both the public and private sector to explore how we can work together collaboratively. And we've learned that it emphasizes the need for collaborative cyber defense, improved incident response, and even innovation and the development of research tools that can help us with this. Cybercrime, unfortunately, is borderless, and our response has to be collaborative. We will be providing a further update to this commission on March the 12th at a private meeting as to the developments in and around our cyber capabilities and the strategy. And then finally, a couple of statistics that were not included on the public dashboard as far as shootings go. We've had 15 shootings this year in 2026 alone, compared to 5 at this point last year, and 2 homicides compared to 2 as well in 2025. Both of those homicides have already been cleared. Those are my comments, Chair. Thank you.
Thanks, Deputy, and we'll finish quickly with Deputy Chief Daly.
Got the word quickly. Thanks, Chief. Thank you, Commission. So as you've heard, I'll just cover off and follow up on a couple of points made by Deputy O'Brien and Deputy Chief Rashid. As you heard Deputy O'Brien mention, resourcing for us continues to be a challenge across the service, not just in crime trends and investigative resources, but in the exhaustive and extensive behind-the-scenes work required to keep the organization functioning. A very specific example you may have seen on the news in early February of a singular incident in District 5 that triggered a major operational response from the front line. And as you may have seen in the media, members on proactive patrol observed a suspicious F-350. That driver attempted to evade police for some time, driving the wrong way on Stony Trail through construction zones and at high rates of speeds, causing a public safety incident. Officers were forced to take immediate action to stop that vehicle due to the risk to the public. As a result, however, 5 vehicles were taken out of complete commission from operational duties within the service. Our behind the scenes fleet and the district leadership moved quickly to manage that situation to make sure we had operational capacity up in District 5 and overflow vehicles allowed in that situation. What you wouldn't have seen behind the media is that work. Once those vehicles were taken out of service and that leadership team and fleet moved quickly to work together, we were able to identify and bring out vehicles that were previously deemed for decommissioning, and they had been undeckled and were no longer fleet worthy. What we did is did immediate inspections on those vehicles, and were able to re-implement them into the rotation for a limited term, redeckling them and having out to the district in under 24 hours to make sure there was operational capacity for calls for service in the area. At that same time, we assessed the vehicles that were damaged, sending tow trucks to the scene, and we had a total loss of 2 of the 5 vehicles in one operational incident, totaling well over $100,000 to the Calgary Police Service in vehicles lost. It's incidents like this that show how one dynamic event can ripple across the organization, and the importance of having adequate staffing, equipment, and the support systems to absorb those types of incidents and sudden operational shocks. The only other thing I would like to highlight tonight amongst the great work going on in the Bureau and across the organization is in addition to the extortion series. As you heard Deputy Rashid speak about in the ongoing investigation in the extortion of frauds in the South Asian community, while our Bureau does not assist directly in the investigations, we play a critical role in supporting those communities affected by them. In addition to things like the town hall that was a great success and an opportunity for us to interact with the community directly, our diversity resource team is working with community members, leaders, cultural organizations, faith groups, and local organizations to share accurate information in multiple languages and ensure community members have access to resources both confidentially and over in format that works best for them. They are delivering fraud-specific crime information tips in Punjabi, developed in partnership with the crime prevention team, and directing community members to our websites and platforms where the information is available in their preferred language. The work is essential. Extortion is often underreported, and community members may feel intimidated or unsure on how to engage the police properly. Our teams help to bridge the gap, ensuring they feel heard, supported, and empowered to come forward. Whether it's managing the operational fallout of the high-risk incidents supporting the communities with unique and evolving needs, our members consistently rise to this challenge, ensuring we continue to deliver the service Calgarians expect and deserve. Thank you.
Thanks, Deputies. Chair. Back to you. Those are our reports.
Thank you, Chief, and thank you, Deputy Chiefs. I'll go to Commission for any comments or questions. Commissioner Ogle.
I'm a broken record, right, Cliff? Let's talk about traffic. Tickets issued for speeding for January on Stony Trail, 677, Deerfoot Trail, 149. That's like 22 a day on Stony and 5 a day on Deerfoot. Walk me through the mechanics of that. Is that a ticket that was issued because someone went through a construction zone and they got a picture of it? Or did we physically have to stop those vehicles on the Deerfoot and the Stony to issue those tickets? That's my first question.
The vast majority of those would have been officers stopping those individuals and issuing them summonses. They're because of the prohibition that we have on Deerfoot, with the exception of construction zones, when construction workers are in there.
So I'll just leave it to your imagination of how dangerous that is first. Second, tickets issued for speeding 51 kilometers or higher for January on Stony Trail, 28, 1 a day. Deerfoot 7, so 2 a week. Walk me through what happens to that driver in that vehicle when that happens, because that person must have been pulled over. Is that vehicle impounded? Is that person's license lifted? I look forward into the next category, impaired driving, immediate roadside sanctions. Like, are we able to take that vehicle and lock it up for 60 days and take what's the law?
So those would have been officers for sure pulling them over, or sheriffs. Sometimes we have help from our partners. Those vehicles would not have been seized unless there was some other reason to seize them. Speeding right now in Alberta is not a reason. The legislation does not allow us to seize those vehicles. I know there's been conversation with the GOA about the potential of doing that, or some other sanctions, whether it be a license suspension or whether it be a vehicle seizure for a period of time, which other provinces have. For those speeds, that would have been a mandatory court appearance, and they would have been issued a summons to appear in court down the road.
So just to be clear, somebody's going 155 on Stony, they get pulled over, get a ticket. How much is the ticket? 500, 800?
I'm not sure.
The lot. And they get back in their car and drive away. I'll just leave that with the public. Like that, this is ludicrous. I'll just, I got to relax.
Well, if I, not,
Please.
not that I want to get your blood pressure up, but the incident that's in our report that Deputy Daly was talking about the person that was driving, they were driving recklessly 178 kilometers an hour through our city, downtown, through red lights. That individual, which we did arrest, is 15 years old.
I have one more comment and a question actually for our counselors. Because Calgary CPS is the one administering the justice on those two highways, would it be possible to have a notice of motion in our own bylaw regarding those, like the ability to do more than just put out a ticket? And maybe that's a question for another day, but we have bylaws for lots of things. So maybe.
I could chime in. I think we're pushing in with the $100 theft under $100 one. The traffic enforcement might be pushing it too far, so I'd say no. But 178 kilometers an hour, that's for a 15-year-old. Put him on a racetrack.
And I'm going to say it's just another downloaded cost that the feds in the province keep dumping on our lap so we can get creative. So we'll try.
Chair, I know we've talked about this a couple of times, so definitely something that we would appreciate some additional and stronger advocacy around. And so we were actually just talking about the traffic stats this morning, preparing for this. And some of us more mature police officers at the table who have been around for a few years used to be able to, back in the day with the old Traffic Safety Act, be able to tow a vehicle and impound it. I think it was after, if you drove over 50 kilometers an hour to prevent the continuation of the offense. And then we were able to do that for a couple of years, and then somebody challenged it, and then that got taken away from us. So it's something like that that we need brought back.
And Commissioner Ogle, for your inquiry, speeding 30 kilometers over the speed limit, the fine is $249. 40 over the speed limit, it jumps to $373. 50 kilometers is $495, and then 51 plus is at the discretion of the courts, where the fines range up into the several thousands of dollars.
Isn't there a point, sorry to jump in, but where they actually tow the vehicle away? I mean, is that not with dangerous driving? Can't you? No.
Criminal dangerous, technically, yes, but it would have to be a criminal charge versus a provincial offense.
Chief, to answer your question regarding advocacy, the commission will be sending out another round of letters, as well as doing an op-ed regarding this also. So
thank you.
Commissioner Nyson-Jordan.
So I thank Commissioner Ogle for actually taking the traffic side of it, but I'm going to go on another traffic side question. And it disturbs me on a continual basis that we continue to have the commercial vehicles at 50% or 80% taken out of commission after you inspect them. So that is a statistic that is very concerning from my perspective, that we've got all these commercial vehicles on the road that don't meet the criteria to be on the road. So what are we doing from that perspective? Something has to change from that because they are dangerous and it's putting our public at risk.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. The question, the reality is that those vehicles are out there. So I'm glad that our traffic members are partnering typically with the sheriffs in order to do those check stops and in order to check those vehicles. These are trained people from our traffic section and the sheriffs, so they know what to look for. But I 100% agree that it's the danger part. So they're being taken off the road because they're dangerous to be out there with everybody. So there's substantial fines with that. And obviously in those cases, we're taking those vehicles off the road and we can seize them.
So just to follow up, we're doing our job. You have a safety alliance with, I assume, some of the companies, and I assume that there is significant data around some of those companies. Can we do more at the GOA level or push to get more work done in that particular area? Because I think it's a critical part.
I'm certainly open to suggestions. I mean, if we're seeing a particular company that is repeated, we can certainly go and have conversations with that company. That isn't necessarily the case, but I'm not sure. The reality is we are seizing them. It'd be nice to fix that upstream for sure, so we're not having this problem. I'm open to suggestions. I'm not sure if there's any other jurisdiction that has something different that we can look at.
I do have one more question. So I do know that we've been participating, this is a totally different area, participating in the task force related to the extortion cases since August. It concerns me that we're actually, instead of seeing a plateau, we're actually seeing an escalation. So either we're not doing the right task force initiatives, or there is some other factor going on. So can you elaborate where we seem to be actually making a gain?
If I may speak honestly, I think that the last 8 to 9 months, we've seen gains in the collection of intelligence and in probing activities and identifying potential people of interest. But that does not allay the concerns of the community. And so where we're falling short is that we're falling short in the enforcement activity. People need to get arrested, people need to get charged, and people need to go to jail. And so just yesterday with the chief's support and direction, we collaborated with our alert partners. We've identified some gaps in the response mechanism, in the resourcing and in the information and communication sharing pieces. I won't get into the details now, obviously, given the public nature of this meeting, but in camera, I'm happy to speak about some of those gaps and how we're remedying those. Thanks for the question, Commissioner.
Commissioner Mallon?
Thank you. This question is for Commissioner for Deputy Chief on the extortion stuff. Do we know, like, are the people who are becoming victims of extortion, are they like kind of just random people? Are they like totally innocent people who just are targeted? Or is there any connection between the extorters and the extortees?
That is a great question, ma'am. And respectfully, I'll defer some of the commentary in response to the in-camera portion of the meeting. However, what I can tell you is that of the victim typology that's been done so far, we can conclusively say that victims and complainants are members from the South Asian community, almost exclusively from the Punjabi or Sikh community. We've identified that the perpetrators of the offenses are also from that community. The nexus between the offenders and the victims is somewhat ambiguous. However, the demographics or socioeconomic backgrounds of the victims is generally those who have small to medium-sized businesses, entrepreneurs are involved in those types of activities.
So I had a similar question that Commissioner Mallon asked, but maybe we'll wait till in camera later for you to answer, Deputy Chief Rashid. But I guess a follow-up question for me around this South Asian extortion piece is, what can the South Asian community at large be doing to support the service to help control this?
That is a great question. And as Deputy Daly alluded to in his remarks, I think it's about the underreporting that happens in the community. And so as we've heard at the town hall and other engagement sessions that we've had, the community is often reticent to report things to police, either because they believe it's inconsequential, it might not contribute to the overall intelligence and enforcement picture, that police don't have the ability to do anything. Some people at the Dashmesh Center, as many of you heard, talked about the international scope of what might be happening here. And so if the perpetrators of these incidents are abroad and overseas, community sometimes feels that the police aren't able to do anything. And then sometimes community members feel reticent to report to police because there's taboo or stigma associated with those reports. Just earlier today, I spoke with an individual, not a matter of extortion, but a cyber-related scam, very similar, analogous to an extortion matter. And the member reached out to me personally, the member of the community, because they're like, I don't want to contact the police. This is embarrassing. I can't believe that I was taken. What advice can you give me? And of course, I gave that individual advice as any police officer would, but I just find that there's some sense of embarrassment or guilt in being extorted or victimized that's preventing people from reporting as well. So I would say, to answer your question, Chair, There are ways that reporting can be taken in anonymously as well through Crime Stoppers, as has been referenced. We can do that through a number of different languages. Information can be provided to Crime Stoppers or the police anonymously, confidentially in some cases, and we'll strategize together with that person as to how we can enforce or take action on it without causing any risk of reprisal to those individuals.
Great. And just a quick follow-up to that. I'm assuming that your teams are probably making the rounds onto Red FM and Satrang and some other radios like that predominantly have South Asian listeners.
Yes, ma'am. We're doing that regularly. And in fact, after the media availability yesterday, we've accepted another invitation to meet with Red FM specifically on Monday of next week.
Fantastic. Thank you. Any other questions under these reports? Thank you, Deputy Chiefs, and thank you to all of you and to your teams for all the work that you are doing and continue to do. So thank you very much. Could I please get someone to move and second to receive the Chief's reports for information? Thank you, Commissioner Mallon and Commissioner McLean. Excuse me. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Thank you. We'll now move on to the presentation from the Calgary Police Service on the 2025 Annual Policing Plan Year End. Please go ahead with your presentation.
Yeah, thanks very much, Chair. So I'm sure you would have all read the document. And so most of you around the table here might recall that there was lots of engagement and input from yourselves as to how we created this, number one. Number two, obviously we're moving into 2026 and the CPC has been instrumental in creating that document as well. But we also know there's been lots of feedback over the last couple of months that going forward into the next annual cycle, there's some different metrics that the Commission wants to see. So I believe we're having that conversation in March. So just wanted to give some opening remarks to that. I'm going to turn it over to Sandra, who will introduce Jody.
Hey, thanks very much, Chief. So we are going to take you through the 2025 Annual Policing Plan. This is the final installment of updates for this plan. So we have brought you 2 updates in the past this year for 2025. This is a plan that focuses on 4 main areas. So people, performance, diversity, and community. And those 4 areas lead into 44 different key performance indicators. With that, this is the 3rd year of a 4-year strategy. So we'll be talking, as you know, very well about the next plan coming up. This is the 3rd year of the 4th year of the plan. So with that, I will hand it over to Jody.
Good afternoon, everybody. As mentioned, the 2025 Annual Policing Plan consists of 4 focus areas, 9 outcomes, 15 goals, and 44 performance measures. Out of the 44 performance measure indicated tracked in 2025, 2 could not be measured due to lack of available data. 25 met the target, 8 were near but not met, and 11 did not meet the target. So I've said that right. 25 achieved the target, sorry. So some of the highlights from our 4 focus areas include, within our people, member wellness was strengthened through significant increases in health checks and engagement with proactive wellness initiatives. Leadership competencies were fully integrated into both performance assessments and promotion processes, which enhanced consistency across the organization. Member perceptions of training adequacy continued to improve. All key HR processes were documented to support modernization and future automation. And finally, civilian hiring timelines were maintained and sworn recruit classes were consistently filled. Within our diversity, recruitment diversity improved significantly, with 52% of applicants identifying as racialized or marginalized. 2 new employee resource groups launched and existing groups remained active. Culture and inclusive framework is now 95% completed. Within our community, shooting incidences decreased significantly by 31% year after year and 47% over the 5-year average. Officer-initiated activities increased, supported by proactive units and coordinated operations throughout the city. CPS allocated 100% of its community safety investment framework funding to community programs, strengthening crisis support, service access, and collaborative initiatives. School administrators reported very high satisfaction with the SRO program, supported by a new deployment model strengthened by partnerships. And finally, professional standards resolved 83% of complaints within 12 months, surpassing the performance target. And finally, within our performance, social media engagement exceeded targets, demonstrating strong growth, high interaction, and more effective community-focused content. Capital spending for infrastructure, IT, and fleet surpassed target levels, reflecting strong project execution. And CPS successfully prepared for forthcoming Police Act reform, maintaining strong engagement with the province through the transition.
Okay, so that was a really quick update, but that was the 2025 overview. So the next reporting that we have for you is the 2026 plan. We will report it to you twice a year, which will be in about 6 months from now, so the fall, and then again in February, at which point we'll be well into the next budget cycle. And I think that is it for that update. If there's any questions, we are happy to take them.
Thank you very much. Are there questions regarding the annual policing plan or any comments? Commissioner Nyson-Jordan. It's okay to ask questions. It's fine. Don't be embarrassed.
Always hate to be the first one.
It's okay.
Commissioner Ogle. Thanks very much for your report, and we're inching along on these metrics. We're not there yet. I think significantly from my perspective, the majority of ones that were completed and successfully completed were numbers, and numbers are just not metrics, really. They're counts. So I would encourage with that next APP for next year that we really do look at outcomes so that we can actually prove how good a work you guys do, which we know it is definitely there. The other thing is that the ones that were, so the 11 that were not completed, some of them were related to timing, I suspect, because your surveys actually occurred early in the year before some of your initiatives actually took place to affect that cultural change or that, perception of the public. So I think those ones we have to kind of take with a grain of salt. The ones that you've accomplished that did show a difference, again, may have been on timing. So I would really encourage, let's find a way to really show our good metrics that show the good work you guys do.
Commissioner, if I could just add a bit of just to the KPIs, I just want to confirm the approach moving forward. So these KPIs in this plan were developed more than a year and a half ago for the 2025 APP. You'll recall the Commission approved the KPIs for the 2026 APP in the fall. So those ones are set, and those are the ones we'll report on. They're better than these ones. They're still not all the way there. And then we'll be talking about KPIs, high-level KPIs for the 4-year plan this spring. So we'll bring that forward. And we've actually sent Jody to get formal certification from the KPI Institute. So we are professionalizing our approach to KPIs so that we can come forward with better advice on those outcome-driven metrics.
Thank you. That is some of the best news I've heard in a long time.
That sounds like fun, KPI school. Yeah. Commissioner McLean, then Adidaron, and then Hope, please.
Thank you. Maybe I was multitasking, but on that one slide was one of the KPIs, hiring of racialized peoples. So is that a quota that's actually put upon the CPS, or is that something internally decided upon, or by commission? How does that work?
So for some time, thank you, Commissioner. For some time, the recruiting program, specifically in relation to police recruits, in an attempt to ensure that our police service is reflective of the community we serve, has measured and assessed the percentage of recruit applicants who come from racialized backgrounds, who come from different gendered backgrounds. And that's been part of our reporting for a number of years, for at least 3 years. And so as you see in 2025, I can't find the page. My recollection is it was 48% of our police recruit applicants were from a diverse racial background.
Councillor, just to answer your question, there is no quota.
Okay, well, that's for I've gone to enough graduations, and we're all about diversity. I'm also all about meritocracy, and if we're looking to hire people, and I think we all know that we're harder to get recruits, and I don't really care what gender you are, what race you are, to be at the end of the day. So, if that's one of your KPIs, but as long as it's not mandatory or so I'm just curious about that. So that's all.
No, and thank you. And as the CPO says, we endure our best to ensure we hire the best of the best. Pardon the cliche. Yeah. And but it is. We are looking to hire people that reflect our community. But we've been very clear that it is hiring the best people for this job.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay, so I have a comment in that line as well. So talking about diversity with the recruitment, with the 52%, is that, do you have the breakdown between the sworn and the civilian? If you don't have it now, maybe you have it in the next report. Okay, go ahead.
Apologies. So the 52% is just in relation to sworn, Commissioner. With our civilian applicants, we don't ask racial diversity questions during the process, so we don't have data on our civilian applicants.
Okay. And then maybe the second comment, just to clarify, is the fact that getting the applicant have nothing to do with the qualification. The criteria are set based on merit. So the number is because you are able to reach more people to get into the pool. Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Hope.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for this report. Similar to Commissioner Nyson-Jordan, who spoke about KPIs, unfortunately, like any other KPI, we will always focus on the ones that were not reached or were not matched. And my question is actually just around one specific KPI, which speaks about the reduction in social disorder. Obviously, the idea or the goal was to see a 5% decrease, and we saw a 5% increase. Can you provide CPS just some context, particularly for our members of the public watching? Why is that the case? And obviously, it speaks to some of the broader issues that are currently in play in our community. But how would this be changed or even challenged in 2026 as we move forward into a new budget year?
Thanks, Commissioner. There's a couple of things going on here. Obviously, we are seeing an increase in social disorder. I don't think we're denying that in terms of part of that is within our control. A big part of that is outside of our control, but we nonetheless still think it's an important thing to measure. I also want to say that we're starting to see some decreases. So this is the annual number. As of late last year, we're starting to see a pattern of decline. So we're hoping that that trend continues after some of the major operations that we did may be a contributing factor, but we're watching that trend closely. And then the last thing I would say is this kind of like complaints, seeing an uptick in the reporting of social disorder is not necessarily a bad thing. We always are worried about underreporting of social disorder. So I think there's the metric, but there's a lot going on underneath it. There's a lot of different things. So I would turn to Deputy Chief O'Brien to see if he wants to add. But I think when it comes to this particular metric, we are actually looking for regularity of reporting from people as like I said, not necessarily a bad sign.
I would just add real quickly, again, when you look at our community engagement response teams and some of the investment we put into actually going out and finding these issues, many of them are on view as well. And so, again, finding the right level, because so we've put a considerable amount of resources into this as well, to help, and Operation Order would be a great example of that.
And Commissioner, I'll just sorry.
No, the Chief, you can answer my question, because I think Deputy Chief actually spoke to us. He sort of alluded to maybe there being a lag time between an issue like social disorder being identified, the processes you put into place to address it, and then the sort of community's appreciation of those efforts. I just wondered whether or not there is a sort of research lag time that you would expect to see in this situation. Is it a year? Is it 2 years? Is it something within people's lifetime that they can see some marginable appreciation?
I'm not seeing any other questions. I will just add a comment myself that I do appreciate all the work that has been done to attract diverse applicants and personnel to the service, and the fact that you have cast a wider net when you've gone out to recruit. I think there's some very incredibly qualified people of diverse backgrounds. And so I'm always glad to see that the numbers are going up, because I do believe in that. The service should reflect the city that it serves, and Calgary is a very diverse city. So thank you for that. Any other? Commissioner Fernandez.
I'm interested in trying to get a little bit of understanding in relation to the item number 9. And basically it relates to the percentage of members that agree that the practices of the CPS are applied fairly. The target number was 35%, which, to me kind of appears low on its own. And just sort of wondering if there's some little bit of background why, those numbers are so low and our targets are so low.
It's an excellent question. It's way lower than any organization would want it to be. This is something that is asked on the Commission's employee engagement survey on an annual basis. So that's where this number comes from. Because it is a broad question, we don't have line of sight to the why or which particular processes folks are concerned about. Now, we do know, for example, promotions, tenure, like there's some standard ones that we hear about frequently. Placement of members unilaterally into roles without competition, we've definitely put an end to that. But it's a bit of a challenge for us because the question's broad. And so understanding which is the particular process that you felt was not applied equitably, and then digging into whether that's a story someone has or whether there's evidence behind the assertion has been challenging. But we are constantly looking to increase that. Like certainly our goal is to continue to move in the right direction, and we are slowly moving that indicator up.
So for the future, you would appreciate that the surveys would have more background in the questions. Like, for example, say, okay, why is it that you actually kind of feel it's not fair? In what areas? Excuse me. And maybe how the things could actually kind of be solved? Is that the kind of things that you would like to see in the future?
Well, ideally, every question has an opportunity for verbatim comments. So in Kim's ideal world, which I know is not possible, I would see all those verbatim comments and we could sift through them and say, okay, 76 people said they felt this about the promotion process. 29 people said they believe this about this process. What's the substance of the belief? Tell me more, tell me more, tell me more, so that we can have a deeper understanding of of whether it's something that's new to us, something we've already examined, something we're aware of. But that general number, like your colleagues on the commission have asked us repeatedly over time, tell us more. And we say, we wish we could, but we don't have more particular data around this than what's here.
I would perhaps add, Commissioner, that I think for us, it's always when we set these targets, it's like, do we set the target we would want in an ideal world, which would be 100% or 95%? Or do we set a target that shows material progress that we can strive for? Because when we have these metrics and we have a really long way to go, there's the stretch target, and then there's the real target of what we feel we can improve the performance within the annual plan period. So I think that's really just an ongoing debate. We'll set the KPIs and then we'll set the targets with you so that we, some targets I think are so important, it doesn't matter if you can reach them or not. You set them as aggressively as possible, while others we might want to go in a manner that we can still show material improvement, but is something we feel like we can attain within our control.
Just a comment, the materiality of the increase in this particular circumstance was actually phenomenal, because if I remember last year, we were about 27%. I think we were actually less. And so to set the target at 34% essentially was a 25% increase. So from historical perspective, we'd all love it to be 95%, but this was an improvement. And this is one that I think is probably affected by the timing of your survey, because you did a lot of initiatives after that. And so you have your metric that is, I would hope to see that this would improve even more next year.
Great, thank you. Any more comments or questions? Okay, seeing none. Can I please have someone move in second to receive the report for information? Commissioner Hansen and Commissioner Adidaron. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Great, thank you. This is the end of the reports and presentations for today. We would normally now invite public guests who have registered to speak to do so. However, today we don't have any public speakers. Thank you to everyone for joining us today and for the thoughtful comments from commissioners and the service. The public participation section brings us to the end of our agenda. So we will now adjourn the public portion of this month's commission meeting. Thank you to everyone for coming, and I hope you have a great evening. Chief McClellan and I will move to the podium shortly, where we will be available to answer questions from the media. Everyone is welcome to stay and watch our media availability, but only recognized members of the media will be able to participate. For commissioners and members of the service participating in the in-camera portion of our meeting, we will take a break to do media questions, but we will continue right after that. Please keep this room quiet until the media availability is finished. And if you are joining remotely, please remember to rejoin us using the in-camera link. Thank you to everyone.
All right, media partners, we are back with you. If you would like to ask a question to either chair or chief, please put your hands up. Just to clarify, you do need to identify your media outlet if you would like to ask a question. Okay, last call. Media, does any one of our partners have any questions? Okay, I'm seeing none. So that brings us to the end of our public meeting. Thanks for joining us. Have a wonderful evening.